So actually, much to my surprise, I'm not sure why it's much to my surprise, the video that I have for you today, all about my crystal collection, how I use crystals in my life, all about crystals, is one of the most requested videos on my channel. And if I had to fashion a guess as to why, I think it would be that a lot of people feel attracted to crystals and are interested in them, but they don't really know where to start or how to utilize them in their life. So today I'm just going to share with you what I've learned to date about crystals. I am by no means an expert. I just started getting really interested in crystals probably a couple of years ago. So I'm not even one of those people that was like interested in rocks and stuff when I was a kid. I guess a little bit. I was always very into collecting rocks and shells at the beach when I was a kid. I do remember that. But I would say I started getting really into crystals and gemstones the way we're going to talk about them in this video probably about 2 years ago. And then in the last year, it just kind of went to a new level where I feel like I felt intuitively pushed towards certain stones and away from certain stones. So I'll talk about all of that. I have a very structured video for you. I have 7 different sections. I will timestamp each of the 7 sections below in the description bar. Also, inevitably, I feel like I'm going to leave things out, so we can just continue the conversation in the comments. I should say as a disclaimer before we get into this video that I am by no means an expert on crystals at all. I'm very self-taught. I go by my own intuition and the work that I've done with my medical intuitive, who is able to resource and pinpoint particular crystals that are good for me, good for all of his clients, individualized, of course. I'll get to all of that when I talk about how I select particular stones. So I wanted to first start out by kind of trying to answer the questions: what do crystals actually do? How can they help us? And what is the science and quantum understanding behind them? In my work with Lloyd, the medical intuitive that I've been working with for 14 or 15 months now, it's been more than a year, I've come to understand crystals as sort of a quantum supplement in a way. The same way that the food that you eat on a daily basis or any supplements that you're taking affect the physical components of your body, crystals can affect the energetic components of your body. Crystals all carry different vibrations and different frequencies, and that can vary based on so many things: where their mind, where they come from in the world, how they're naturally formed, if they're man-made. All of these things affect the energy of crystals. But if you think of a crystal as a conductor of a particular frequency, what they are doing is basically strengthening or balancing out a particular chakra or energy meridian in the body and kind of helping to bring it into balance. For example, with me, I've had a lot of heart chakra issues, and so 2 of the stones that are very important for me to use regularly are rose quartz and green jade, which are both heart chakra stones. I know a lot of people that have issues with grounding and they need to feel more kind of rooted in the earth. And so those people tend to do really well with stones like jasper, which really work with the root chakra. And then there are things like more spiritual stones that work more with the third eye and the crown chakra. Amethyst tends to be one of the stones people are first attracted to because it is a stone of heightened intuition. Okay, so I just want to say a few words about how I actually pick crystals to purchase and sort of bring into my life. Initially, I was very just guided by my intuition. Before I started working with Adam as my medical intuitive, I would just go by like what I felt attracted to. A good example would be one of these gem and remedy bracelets. I'm wearing one, but I had one probably it's been about 3 years since I had this one. And this is the number 18 Wealth and Success Gem and Remedy bracelet. And the way that I picked this one is I just went on the Gem and Remedy website and I literally just tried to like quiet my mind and pick what I felt most attracted to without looking at kind of the deeper meaning behind the stones and what they were meant for. So this one is for wealth and success. It's green agate and citrine. So I guess at the time that I picked this, I was in a very sort of career focused mode. And that sort of has been my life. Actually, for the last 3 or 4 years, I have been in a very sort of like work or career professional mode. And I was attracted to things that I feel like people are sort of initially most attracted to. Amethyst. I was very attracted to rose quartz. I was very attracted to fluorite, clear quartz, crystal quartz, lots of quartzes. So then last January, I had my initial session with Lloyd. And as part of my overall nutritional balancing session with him, he did an assessment of crystals. He calls these power stones for a person, and it can be 1, it can be 3 or 4. 3 came back as particularly beneficial for me, not delimited to a particular time, if that makes sense. So these were stones that are just kind of good for me to have basically for the rest of my life in some capacity. Beyond that, there are particular crystals that will come up as being beneficial at different points in a person's process. Sort of what situations or people or patterns or whatever are coming up in your life for you to become conscious of, work through, detoxify from, clear patterns that aren't serving you, and change your vibration to start attracting different situations that are more in line with what you actually want versus what you're trying to clear, I guess, if that makes sense. Different crystals can be beneficial for doing that. And so the way that I have worked with that is I will often make note of crystals that I feel drawn to, and then during follow-up sessions that I've had with Adam, I'll have him check them for me and rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. And it's been interesting in the course of the last years. I feel like my intuition has sharpened. It's very interesting for me to see that the stones I'm attracted to are very beneficial for me. They're either 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. And there have been times too when there have been stones that I feel a visceral negative reaction to, and I've had him assess those as well. And they've come back as like 0s or 1s. So it's very interesting to have that kind of triangulation. One in particular, I feel bad because I'm sure that there's plenty of people that love this stone and benefit from it, but rainbow moonstone, every time I look at it, I feel like I want to throw up. I don't know why. It like literally I have like a visceral negative reaction to it, and it's a 0 out of 10 for me. My 3 power stones are azurite, rose quartz, and green jade. And interestingly, when I had done my initial session with Adam, I think in my preliminary notes to him before we did our session, I had rose quartz and green jade on there as stones that I was feeling particularly drawn to. Azurite, I had no knowledge of or experience with. This is a third eye stone, and I'm obsessed with it. If I had to pick like one stone that I feel resonates with me so strongly, it would be this. And I'll get to talking about it more when I actually show you my collection. Rose quartz and green jade are, as I said, heart chakra stones. Also, during a crystal consult with Adam, he will tell you if it's most beneficial for you to carry the stone in one of your pockets, wear it as a pendant, or wear it as beads around the neck. And the placement of how you carry the stones on your body is just important in terms of energy meridians. That's my main understanding. But then, for example, I've had him check things that I want to wear as a bracelet or a ring, and they've been okay, or certain stones that I want to sleep with under my pillow. This may sound sort of tedious to some of you, but I feel that it's important to get that extra information just so I'm not utilizing the stones in ways that would work to my energetic detriment when I'm trying to like clear and move forward, I guess, if that makes sense. Okay, so now why don't we talk about my actual crystal collection? This is going to be very show and tell, like in elementary school. Let me gear up for this with a sip of seltzer. Okay, so my favorite places to buy crystals from are 2 shops. One is Victory Jewelry and the other is Velvet Lotus on Etsy. I have purchased stones from other Etsy shops and freestanding brick and mortar stores like in Salem. I live very close to Salem, Massachusetts, so there's tons of crystal and occult shops there. But Victory Jewelry and Velvet Lotus have had stones that I feel the most positive resonance with, I guess. So I'm going to show you my most substantial pieces. I do also have a number of just kind of smaller pieces, and I don't think I'm going to go through all of those individually. So I have 2 big standing quartz points. This is a crystal quartz point and this is a rose quartz point. Both of these are from Victory Jewelry, and I think that they're just so beautiful. I seem to have a particular proclivity for either raw stones or cut stones, I guess. And then the ones that I feel not as attracted to are smooth or tumbled stones. So this would be a tumbled, sort of polished piece of rose quartz. This is a raw or unpolished piece of rose quartz. And then this is a cut piece of rose quartz into a double terminated wand. I have two double terminated wands, a rose quartz and a strawberry quartz. I love this piece so much. They have different energies to me, which I really enjoy. And then you have something like this, which is called a standing point, where you can see it's only has the point on one end and not both ends the way that these do. This is a lapis lazuli. And then I also have a lapis lazuli pendulum that was a gift from a friend. I have a celestite palm stone, which I think is absolutely beautiful. This is also from Victory Jewelry. It reminds me of the ocean. It's so calm and soothing. I've heard that celestites are very beneficial to have in a living room or a living space. And then I have also heard that the way that the, I guess it's like the molecular structure of celestite is different than the structure of something like quartz. They form in like different patterns, which obviously affects the energy of the stone. But this is a really nice stone, I think, to meditate with. I have an astrophyllite pyramid, which I love. This is a very interesting stone to me. It feels incredibly like deep and mysterious and kind of like expansive, I guess. It reminds me of the universe. I feel like it has sort of a mysterious energy to it, and I really enjoy having this one sit on a windowsill, and I feel very connected with it. I'm actually waiting for another pyramid stone that's supposed to be shipping from Velvet Lotus imminently, and it's something called blue goldstone, which recently came up as a beneficial stone for me. Okay, then as I said, I actually only have this little piece of green jade. If anyone has a good source for light green jade like this, I like this sort of green jade versus the darker green jade. I have a bunch of rose quartz just because it's such a good stone for me. I have these two. I have a big chunk of it in my pillow that I sleep with every night. See, I have a lot of little stones on this tray. And then I have also lots of smaller stones on this, which sits on a windowsill in my kitchen, just because as I'm saying, I don't feel as into like these sorts of stones. These were like my beginner crystals ones that I just kind of picked up when I was at crystal shops, sort of in person. And I don't feel that the energy is as strong as some of my newer pieces. I guess kind of significant ones. I have this Madeira citrine, which is from Velvet Lotus on Etsy, and I also have this Veracruz amethyst. I think it's the only piece of amethyst I have, because amethyst is actually not a very beneficial stone for me. At least it wasn't the last time Adam checked for me. Citrine is interesting. It's one of the only crystals that doesn't have to be cleansed. It's a really nice stone to have because it can sort of help your other crystals, basically. That's how I think of citrine. It's kind of like a helper crystal. Yeah, a really comforting stone. I guess that's what I think of this. I think this is black tourmaline, selenite. This is a piece of aventurine, which I think is very pretty. And then this is, I think, an interesting stone. This is new to my life. It's called a Shiva Lingam, I believe. I have a much bigger piece that's actually in my pillow right now. These remind me of dinosaur eggs. You can only find Shiva Lingam in a certain part of India, I believe. That's the only place in the world you can find it. And when I did a little research on it, apparently it was formed from a meteorite crashing into Earth however many tens of millions of years ago, which I think is really interesting, and just something very primordial. Like that's the energy that I feel with it. Those are kind of my most substantial pieces. Now, sort of a little bit more specifically about how I work with them and how crystals are integrated in my life. The most prominent way is wearing them or having them on my person. So jewelry is a big way. I have this azurite ring. I have this other gem and remedy bracelet, which is iolite, lapis lazuli, and aquamarine. And I got this specifically because I needed to get some lapis to wear on my wrist. And I think it was important, as I'm saying, because there are particular energy meridians where lapis was going to be very beneficial for me. This gem and remedy bracelet is supposed to be good for manifestation, harmony, and alignment. I do also have an azurite pendant. I wear this almost every day. I had shown it in an old favorites video. I had gotten it from an Etsy shop called Boo Boo Ruby. I have to say I had wished it was going to be a much bigger piece of azurite, but you know, it's fine. I wear it underneath my clothes and it's just kind of like a little amulet, I guess, because azurite is a stone that was very beneficial for me to wear as a pendant. Green jade I am supposed to be wearing as beads around the neck, but I haven't found anything that I like. So on a daily basis, I usually have a piece of rose quartz and green jade in my pocket. Rose quartz I'm not supposed to wear. I'm supposed to just have it in my pocket or in my living space. Let's see, wearing as pendants, jewelry, stones in the pocket, sleeping within your pillowcase. Some crystals are supposed to be able to enhance dreams. Like I'm saying, I personally wouldn't just like throw lapis lazuli under my pillowcase without checking with my medical intuitive, but there are some stones, that particularly ones that resonate with the third eye chakra, which lapis does, and can increase lucid dreaming, astral traveling, astral projection, things like that, or they can enhance your ability to have dream recall, communicate with spirit guides in dreams, all of that kind of stuff. I'm just assuming that anyone that's watching this video is like open to and into these sorts of esoteric things. If you're not, then just like peace out, because it's not your thing and that's okay. Another interesting way to work with crystals, and this is a much newer way that I've been working with crystals, is to do crystal grids. So this was actually a holiday gift from a good girlfriend of mine. She gave me my first crystal grid, and sacred geometry, as you can tell, which is a topic for another video. I'm totally obsessed with sacred geometry. But the point of doing a crystal grid is, and I'll insert some pictures of ones that I've done. I like to do them around new moons and full moons if I'm doing like a bigger sort of ritual or prayer or manifestation session. Crystal grids can be very nice. Also, if you're doing any kind of living space energy cleanse. The point of doing a crystal grid is that when you place them in a particular geometric pattern, that it harnesses particular energy vortices, I think, and just kind of increases the power of the crystals when they're kind of all in a pattern together. That's my understanding. So this crystal grid, I don't actually know where she got it, but there's if you search crystal grids on Etsy, so many come up. There's ones that are like this. There's a lot that come on like screen printed on a piece of like cloth or something. I actually want to get one of those. I would like a bigger one. I like having this little one, but I kind of want to get like a big one. And along with this, she also gave me a little pouch full of crystals to grid with. So I like having kind of these smaller stones to surround like a bigger stone. So for example, with this, I would do something like put one of my quartzes in the middle and then stagger some of these smaller stones around it. I'm like dropping these stones everywhere. So I am a crystal grid neophyte. I don't really know much more about them yet than that, but I'm very, very intrigued by them and into them. Another way to work with crystals is in manifestation or in setting intentions. So like I said, I really enjoy meditating with this stone. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't do a lot of like traditional meditation the way that I feel like it's been espoused in the wellness community, especially the last couple of years, where you know, you need to sit down every morning for 10 or 15 minutes or half an hour and meditate, or the like transcendental meditation with a mantra and all of that. It's having a structured militant meditation practice doesn't work for me. But if I feel so moved, especially after a yoga practice, if I'm in a particular space and I feel inclined to just sit, then it can be nice to have a stone sitting on your body, in your hands. If you're lying down, it can be nice to place them on the body. And they're just kind of like helpers. I have so much love and respect for crystals because I think of them as just like our friends that are helping us in our physical manifestation in this life. I have a lot of respect for crystals. To be honest with you, I like animals and crystals and flowers and plants so much better than most humans. I know that sounds kind of like crappy, but it's kind of true. So another important thing for us to talk about is how to care for your crystals, because to get the most benefit out of them, you do want to cleanse them and charge them pretty regularly. And this is something I only started doing really in the last year. You do want to keep them clear and charged, because if you think about it, they are attracting energy and transmuting energy, but certain crystals will hold on to energy. I guess I feel like it's particularly important for me to cleanse my quartzes. I don't know why I feel that way, but I feel like they have a tendency to really attract and hold on to energies. So when I get a new crystal in, particular shops that, especially the ones I shop from, like Victory Crystals and Velvet Lotus, they cleanse and charge the crystals before they send them to you. If you're sensitive, you would probably be able to feel the energy from the crystal, and I trust both of the sellers in these shops very much, and I think that they have very strong attention to energy and detail. If you're just gonna walk into like a new age shop in your town and you're gonna pick up crystals that have been sitting in bins, it's totally fine, but you wanna make sure that you cleanse them when you get them home. The easiest way that I think to do that is to hold them under running water for like at least a couple of minutes, like cool running water. Some people will soak them in water, some people will soak them in salt water. For some reason, it's not the most attractive thing. I don't feel drawn to do that for whatever reason. Salt can also damage some stones. Ideally, even better than tap is if you live near a stream of natural water. Having the stones cleansed in natural running water is like ideal, but like I live in a city, so that's not really a reality for me. So I just hold them under tap water for a couple of minutes, and I feel like it kind of flushes out superficial energies, I guess. A more detailed way to cleanse them is to use something like Palo Santo or sage. So I have a white sage bundle here, and I have a Palo Santo stick, and then I also have a Palo Santo cone of incense. So this can be particularly nice to do around a full moon, because the energy of the full moon is very potent. So the night of a full moon, it can be nice to light your Palo Santo or light your sage, and it's called smudging. But what you do is, if you've ever worked with Palo Santo, this will catch on fire, you blow it out, so it's kind of like a crackling ember, and it will have smoke coming from it, and you literally just hold the stone and let the smoke hit it, basically. You're just holding whatever stone in the path of the stream of smoke for, I don't know, I mean, not that long, 10 seconds maybe. And then what I like to do after I've done all of that is I will line my stones up on a windowsill so that they're exposed to the light of the full moon, whatever happens to come in my window. So that would be a cleanse and a charge. So I should have distinguished between the two. Cleansing is under running water, doing a smudge with sage or Palo Santo. Charging would be something like moonlight, sunlight, burying them in the earth. I've also heard of that. And different stones respond differently to different elements, but I'm not at the point where I'm that anal retentive about it. And I do that also with like all the jewelry that I have too. And truthfully, like I don't do it every full moon. I mean, I know some people that are religious about cleansing, charging, crystal gridding like every moon cycle. And it kind of like ebbs and flows for me. Like sometimes I'll be very, very into rituals around full moon and new moon, and then a couple months will go by where I'm just focused on other things. But it is nice to have that as kind of a grounding ritual and time to return to. I guess to me, if you get like stressed about it and are trying to be like very regimented and strict with yourself, to me that negates like the energetic purpose of even doing this or having it in your life. I think if you feel compelled to do it, then that's a great sign and go for it. But if you feel any sort of like obligation and you're like dragging your heels through like, I gotta do this like routine, then don't do it. Like it'll maybe next month you'll feel better, if that makes sense. I just went on like a little tirade there. So I wanted to tell you guys what's on my crystal wish list. I thought this would be kind of fun because there's always new things that cross my path that I will like spark that interest or attraction in me. So sodalite or sodalite, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's a beautiful, beautiful, like dark blue with white swirls in it stone. It's kind of similar to lapis, but it reminds me actually more of the energy of something like celestite. It's more kind of calming and tranquil. I think it's actually a throat chakra stone, whereas the energy of lapis and azurite is more third eye energy, although azurite actually is throat and third eye, whereas lapis I think is predominantly third eye, and sodalite or sodalite I think is predominantly throat. So yeah, it looks so beautiful. I just have come to really, really adore this deep, deep indigo blue color that is the color of azurite, lapis, sodalite. It's just, oh, it gives me like so many like chills. I absolutely love it. Another stone that I recently learned about, it's native to Australia, that I thought looked very grounding. And I'm not actually typically attracted to grounding stones, which is interesting because I am, as I've mentioned in videos before, my astrological chart is incredibly air dominant. So I would honestly think that I need more grounding, although when I have worked with professional astrologers in the past, they have all said, even though your chart is so air dominant, you do retain an element of grounding because of my other placements. I have placements around something called the water houses, I guess, which also balances the air in my chart. But anyway, this is not an astrology video. It's a stone called mookaite, I believe. And it's this beautiful, like cream, light yellow, light pink color. And it kind of reminds me of spring. And it has a very soft, innocent, pretty energy to me. I really like it. So apparently it's particularly good if you live in Australia. It can be nice to have stones that are native to where you're from. I've always been attracted to rainbow fluorite. I did have Adam check rainbow fluorite for me once, and I think it was a 10 out of 10, but rainbow fluorite that is predominantly green and not purple. So if you've ever seen rainbow fluorite, it's a mix of different shades of green and purple and white sometimes, and some of the stones will be predominantly purple and some will be predominantly green. So I guess I need rainbow fluorite that's mostly green. Victory Jewelry actually carries really, really pretty fluorite tea light holders, so I've been needing to get one of those, although they're like $50. And then one of my really good girlfriends, she's the one that actually got me the crystal grid. She and I send pictures of crystals to each other on Instagram like all day, every day. We're totally obsessed. And she and I have probably sent more photos of this stone than any other stone, and it's Angel Aura Spirit Quartz. It's such a magical looking stone. It honestly looks like, it reminds me of a unicorn. Or something really like fantastical. Angel Aura Spirit Quartz is actually a man-made stone. And there's nothing particularly wrong with man-made stones. I don't know, I think some people think that if it's man-made, it's not as good, but they have their places as well. And to be truthful, I don't honestly know. I'm not that well informed on the energetic differences between man-made and naturally occurring crystals, but maybe I'll get back to you on that. Okay, and then I just wanted to close out this very long video with some crystal resources and inspiration for you. So these are resources that I really rely on to continue enhancing my own knowledge about crystals and getting inspiration for what crystals to bring into my life. So there's one YouTube channel that I have consistently watched and find very, very useful. I've watched others, and to be honest, I mean, it's like a lot of people that talk about crystals on YouTube are just kind of like, I don't know, I'm not into it. They don't seem like that knowledgeable or educated to the level that I would want to listen to them. But there is a channel by someone, an Australian actually, his name is Adam Barrelate. I highly recommend his videos. They're so informative. He has videos on so many stones that I've never heard of. I learned about mookaite from him, and I initially found him when I was looking for information on lapis. I wanted to learn more about the metaphysical properties of lapis and what it was going to be doing in my life. And I saw his video on lapis, and I just thought he had such a good approach to talking about crystals. Incredibly knowledgeable. He brings in things like strategies to work with particular crystals, the background to them, where they're sourced from, what planets they're. So I mean, he goes into like lots of detail, but it's super, super informative. And then I wanted to mention the Instagram accounts that I think do the most beautiful shots of crystals, crystal grids, and where I get the most sort of like inspiration. So Spellbound Sky has an amazing account, and they are actually a crystal shop in Los Angeles, and they were featured on Camille Rowe's wellness series that she did with British Vogue, that when she went in and talked to those two guys who were like waving the feather and saging the crystals in the shop, that's Spellbound Sky. But they have such a good Instagram account, I'm obsessed. Cave and Canyon, I recommend, and they predominantly do crystal grid, like flat lays, that are really good ideas if you want to get into crystal gridding. Energy Muse, Goldie Rocks, Luminosity Crystals, and Black and the Moon are also accounts that I get my like daily crystal porn fix from. That's what we call it, crystal porn, like makeup porn, it's like similar. Yeah, I feel like it's vibration raising even to look at pictures of beautiful crystals, honestly. So I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover. I know I'm leaving stuff out. I always feel that way when I sit down to do like long epic videos like this, tackling a big subject. But I really hope it was helpful. I hope you feel inspired to start working with crystals in your life. I don't know, I feel like if you're also on the path to kind of like waking up and becoming more conscious of yourself in the world and yourself as an energetic being, then I think you'll find yourself naturally more attracted to things like crystals and nature and plants and flowers. And so crystals are totally just here to support us and help us, and they just make me very happy, and I'm very, very thankful for what they bring to my life. So please leave any questions you have for me or for Adam in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. If you have other resources or accounts or anything to share, please do so in the comments for everybody's sort of collective knowledge. Thank you for watching. I have such a hard time wrapping up videos. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.